Hey all, welcome to Homeschool. Hope everybody are doing good. We are very much happy to introduce a new teacher for biology for classes 11 and 12 and also for ICSE syllabus as well. Initially, we are going with class 11 biology, and with her teaching experience, definitely she can make your biology study more easier. And definitely these concept videos can be the best learning videos for your biology course. So here I introduce one of our good friends and my colleague Neha Rani ma'am to give introduction.
Hello everyone, hope everyone is doing good and safe at home with your masks and sanitizers. Okay, so as ma'am said, I'll be taking up the biology class 11 and class 12, and I would like to stress one thing here. As I said, I'll be starting the class 11 today. You should be under the idea that class 11 is as important as class 12, because we know that though the PUC board exams are important, along with that, the NEET exams are also very, very important. So, what I would like to say here is, in the NEET, we have got 90 questions from the biology part. And make sure that you learn the first year biology also very clearly, because 45 questions out of 90 will be from first year syllabus. And remember this, first year syllabus is quite heavy compared to the second year syllabus. So you should not be under the idea that anyway second year syllabus is important and first year is not that important. No, that is not correct. So 90 questions out of 90, 45 will be from the first year syllabus and 45 will be from second year syllabus. So my suggestion is you should be listening to all the classes of the first year very clearly, all right? And I will try to make the classes as easier as possible. So we will study all the concepts very clearly, and I'll try to make the concepts as interesting as possible. So you should understand it and remember it properly till you're done with your exams.
Okay, see, we are providing almost three major subjects, that is chemistry, physics and biology, and we will come up with mathematics also, but it will take some time. So do subscribe our channel to learn the concepts in the easiest way and in a interesting way. We will try to give concept clarity on all the concepts, on all the topics of NCERT textbook. So be prepared with the videos, and I can assure you that these are going to be the best learning videos for all the three subjects. So here she will go with the overview of class 11 topics so that you will get an idea what actually you are going to study in class 11 biology. Thank you.
Okay guys, so before starting with the actual part of the syllabus, I would just like to give you the brief introduction about the syllabus. So what are the contents, or what are the chapters, and what are the units included in that. So we have totally 22 chapters in the class 11 biology, which are being put up under 5 units. So first unit is the diversity in the living world. So here we are majorly studying various life forms present in the world. We know that there are n number of or billions of life forms. So we will be studying a proper way of identifying or classifying those life forms in this particular unit. And this unit has 4 chapters. The first chapter is living world. So this is a very basic chapter. We know that we have got living organisms as well as non-living objects. So how do we classify it? So there are certain characteristics which allow us to identify the particular component as a living and a particular component as a non-living. So this particular chapter gives us the basic characteristics which will define a living organism, as well as it gives us a brief idea about the classification, or in the scientific terms, what do we call it as? Taxonomy. So this majorly speaks about the characteristics as well as the taxonomy. And very important in this particular chapter is it gives us an idea of the hierarchical level of the classification. We have studied in your previous classes that we know that we have kingdoms, we have phylums or divisions, class, order, genus, species. So this chapter gives us a proper idea how to classify a organism, as well as this gives us an idea of the taxonomical aids. So what are these aids? Aids are the helplines, or they make the taxonomical study or the classification study quite easier. They provide us the sample of the species to have a proper study or idea of the classification. So this chapter majorly includes characteristics, taxonomy or classification, and the hierarchical levels, as well as the taxonomical aids. Then biological classification. So this chapter majorly speaks about the systems of the classification. We have got various systems like 2 kingdom classification, 3 kingdom classification, 4 kingdom classification, and 5 kingdom classification. And in this chapter, for your syllabus, the 5 kingdom classification is there, which is worldwide accepted. We call it as R.H. Whitaker 5 kingdom classification. Alright, so that we will be studying in the biological classification chapter. Then plant kingdom, third one. So this chapter majorly deals with the algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. And majorly we have a very detailed study of the angiosperms in this particular chapter, which all comes under the plant kingdoms. So we have studied various 5 kingdom classification we have studied in the previous chapter. Out of that, the plant kingdom is studied in the third chapter, and we will be covering these 5 topics under this plant kingdom. Along with that, we also get to study the life cycle of the plant and alteration of the generations. Then animal kingdoms. In the animal kingdom also we get to study various phylums, and we get to study various levels of the animal kingdom classifications. Alright, so the first unit speaks about the diversity or different forms of the life and their classifications. Second unit, structural organization in plants and animals. So here we have seen various life forms. In the second unit, we get to see the description of those life forms. Try to understand, in the first unit, we have understood what are the different life forms and how do we classify it. In the second unit, what are we understanding? In the second unit, we are studying the description, alright, the description of those life forms. And in the second unit, again we have 3 chapters. The first one is the morphology of flowering plants. What is morphology? Morphology is the external study, alright. External study of any organism is called as the morphology of that particular organism. So, since they have mentioned here, it is morphology of the flowering plants. So, morphology, what do we get to see? The external parts means the root, stem, leaves, flowers or inflorescence, fruits and seed. So, we will be studying about the root and its modification, leaves and its modification, stem and its modification, as well as the inflorescence of flowers and then the fruit and seed. Then anatomy. What is anatomy? Anatomy is the internal study. Morphology is the external study and the anatomy is the internal study. So in the anatomy of the flowering plants, we will be studying various tissue systems in the plants. So tissue systems, you have already studied various types of tissues in your previous classes. That is the meristematic tissues and the permanent tissues. Alright. So what are meristematic tissues? Dividing tissues. We study the dividing tissues very detailed in this particular chapter. And then the next one is permanent tissue. In the permanent tissue, we again have simple permanent tissues and complex permanent tissue. So we'll be studying the parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, as well as xylem and phloem. Along with these types of tissues, we also will be studying the tissue systems, that is the ground tissue system, the vascular tissue system and the epidermal tissue systems. And we also will be studying the leaf, stem and root, especially dicot one as well as the secondary growth of it. Alright. Next one, structural organization in animals. So here we will be studying various types of tissues which are present in the animals. That is the epidermal tissues or epithelial tissues, I can call it as, and the connective tissues, muscle tissues and others. Alright, so we will be studying the animal tissues in this chapter. We will be studying the plant tissues in this particular chapter. Then moving to the unit 3. Unit 3 is one of the most important and very basic chapters of the biology. See, the unit is cell structure and functions. So, you have already studied this chapter in your previous classes, in your schools, isn't it? But there you have already understood what is the importance of that chapter. Now, in the class 11, we will be studying the same chapter in detail. Alright, the concept which we are going to learn here is much more as compared to your previous classes. So here, also remember, this chapter has got more weightage in the NEET. So you should be very cautious while you're studying this particular chapter. Alright, each and every part of the chapter is very important. So have a proper listening while looking into the classes. Fine? So, cell, the unit of life. So, here you'll be studying what is cell theory, the discovery of the cell, as well as the prokaryotic cell, eukaryotic cell, the structure of it, the detailed structure of it, and then the organelles which are present in those prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. Each and every part of it we will be studying in detail. Then biomolecules, this is again one very important chapter, biomolecules. So this will tell us what exactly is the component of the living organism, or living organism is made up of what particular organic molecules. So this chapter is going to speak about that. So it includes carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, nucleic acids. Alright. Again, these 4 biomolecules we are going to study in detail. Then the third one, cell cycle and the cell division. So probably this seems to be a new chapter because you might have not come across this chapter in your previous classes. So what are we going to study here is, see, a cell when it is formed, it has to die also. Alright. The cell cycle is the period of the duration of the cell between the birth and the death of the cell. Alright. So here in the cell cycle, we will be speaking about the phases of the cell, that is after its birth till it dies, what are the phases which is undergoing. So that is about the cell cycle. And cell division is one cell is getting divided into 2 cells. That is how the organism or a particular animal or a plant will start growing. So if it has to grow, then cell has to divide. So that will be studied under the cell division. So cell cycle speaks about the phases of the cell, and cell division speaks about the multiplication of the cell. So remember, I'm repeating it again, cell structure and cell function is very important chapter from the exam point of view, whether it is your PU exams or it is the NEET. So it is very important chapter. Then moving on to the next unit, that is plant physiology. Again, one of the very important topics, and remember carefully, if you miss any concept from this chapter, it is very difficult to understand the next concept. So you should have a proper flow. Don't miss any of the videos of this particular chapter. Alright. So plant physiology. What is physiology? Physiology is the cellular activities. What is happening inside the cell is called as the physiology or cellular physiology. So here we are speaking about the plant physiology. It means what activities or what activities are going on in the plant cell, that we will be studying under this particular unit. And this has got 5 chapters. So first one is the transport in the plants. So what exactly is transport in the plants? We know that plants require various nutrients, various minerals, water, as well as food, right? So how is that absorbed? That is being absorbed from the roots. So from the roots, it has to travel to the tip of the plant. isn't it? So if it has to travel, then it should have a proper transport mechanism, it should have a proper movement channelized in the plants. So this chapter speaks about the movement of the water as well as the food inside the plants. Water, food, also the minerals or nutrients inside the plants. All right, how exactly it is been absorbed from the roots to from the soil to the roots, and then from the root till the tip of the plant, how it is being transported, all that we will be seeing in the first chapter of the plant physiology unit. And we also study the diffusion, osmosis, solute potential, water potential in detail. All right, these are very basic concepts to understand the physiology. Then mineral nutrition. This chapter speaks about what nutrients, like we have micronutrients and macronutrients which are required for the survival of a plant. So this chapter speaks about these two types of nutrients, its absorption also. And if the nutrient is lacking, then what happens? It has to suffer from the deficiency symptoms. So the chapter speaks about various micronutrients, macronutrients, how exactly it has been absorbed, and if there is a lack of the nutrient, what are the deficiency symptoms which are being suffered by the plant. Along with that, one very important topic which you are going to study in this chapter is the nitrogen cycle. Why I am writing this particular word on the board is because you can really expect some good number of questions from this particular concept, as well as this might be asked in the PU also. This is like a sure shot concept always from the exam point of view. So you have to learn this very cautiously, right? So nitrogen cycle, this speaks about how exactly it has been absorbed from the atmosphere and it has been returned back to the atmosphere. Fine. Then photosynthesis in the higher plants. We know what is photosynthesis. It is the preparation of the food by the plants is called as photosynthesis. And in the photosynthesis, we are going to study various reactions like light reactions and dark reactions. Again, under the light reactions, we will be studying the cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylations. And under the dark reactions, we will be studying the reactions like Calvin cycle, which we call it as C3 pathway, and then C4 pathway, as well as the photorespiration. Again, very important chapter. Remember it. And then next chapter, respiration in the plants. All right. So here the respiration in the plants, I can also call it as cellular respiration, because this respiration, rather than the inhaling and exhaling of the gases, this is speaking about the breakdown of the food and the synthesis of the energy. Hence, in other words, I can also call it as the cellular respiration. Fine. So when we eat food, once it goes inside our body, it has to be digested and it reaches various parts of the cell. Inside the cell, what happens? Inside the cell, it is being broken down to get the energy. So that is called as the cellular respiration. So that we will be studying in this particular chapter. So here what are we studying? Glycolysis, citric acid cycle or tricarboxylic acid cycle, and electron transport chain. Along with that, we also will be studying the anaerobic respiration, otherwise which can also be called as the fermentation. Fine. Then plant growth and development. So this is again one very simple chapter but very important chapter. Though it seems to be simple and easy to learn, it is very important. So quite kind of lucky chapter, because very small and very easy chapter, and you can expect more marks from it. All right. So what we'll study here, the phases of the growth, like growth curve and growth rate, what it is, and then what are the growth regulators like auxin, gibberellins, and then the cytokinins, abscisic acid, as well as ethylene. All right. So all about it we will be studying in this particular plant growth and development chapter. Then moving on to the last unit, human physiology. Trust me guys, it is one of the most beautiful chapters in the biology. Human physiology will trick your minds because it has got so beautiful diagrams and everything. It will make your study more interesting. And of course, I'll try my best to have very good diagrams, and I'll teach you how to have very good diagrams also. And then we will go for a detailed study of each and every chapter of this unit. Fine. Digestion and absorption. There's nothing much to tell about it, because as the word chapter name suggests, it is about the digestion of the food and the absorption. So we'll study each and every part in detail, which is included in the digestion, as well as we will study what are the disorders associated with it. Similarly, breathing and exchange of gases. So here we are speaking about the inhalation and exhalation. So here it was majorly respiration in plants was majorly the cellular respiration. Though there we also study the transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide. The major stress is being given for the cellular respiration. But here in the breathing and exchanger, this merely speaks about the inhalation and exhalation of the gases. All right. Then, so here we'll be studying the respiratory system in detail with a proper neat label diagrams, all the respiratory volumes and the disorders associated with that. Fine. Then the body fluids and circulation. So this speaks about the circulatory system or the heart. This is one of the finest chapters of the biology, guys. Very, very beautiful chapter. You will just love the chapter, trust me. Fine. Then it speaks about the heart, structure of the heart, how exactly it is working and everything, as well as the disorders associated with it. Then excretory products and their elimination. So here we will be speaking about the human excretory system, how the urine is formed, how it is being removed out of the body, what is the process, and what are the disorders associated with this. All right. Then locomotion and movement. So this is mainly speaking about the skeletal system of the body. What are the types of muscles, what are the types of bones, what are the types of joints which are present in the human body. So complete skeletal system we will be studying here, as well as how the muscle contraction happens. All right. So if we have to move our body, then there should be a type of contraction happening. So that we will be studying here in the locomotion and movement chapter. Then neural control and coordination. So this mainly speaks about our brain. Okay. So you have to use your brains while studying this chapter. You have to understand it properly. Again, one of the beautiful chapters in the whole biology. Fine. So we'll be studying the human nervous system, the structure of a neuron, as well as the conduction of the impulse and the disorders associated with it. Okay. Then last chapter, that is chemical coordination and integration. So this chapter mainly speaks about the endocrine systems, or I can say it speaks about the production or synthesis of the hormones and how exactly they are being absorbed. Though the chapter looks simple, it is very important part, because hormones play a very, very crucial role in an organism. So the chapter, though it is simple, it has really very great importance in the syllabus as well as in our life. Okay. So I hope you have got a brief idea what exactly is there in your syllabus and what we are gonna study in the next class. Fine. Okay. So by this, we'll stop our class today, and we will again come up with the first chapter in the next class. Okay guys, so subscribe the channel and get the maximum benefits out of it. All right, as well as do share these videos with your friends also, and let them also get the maximum benefits of the videos. Okay.